All right, back with you on the Bronx Buzz, and I'm thrilled to bring back with us. She's been on Bronx Talk before. We were just talking about it. She has not been on the Bronx Buzz, but she is the executive director of Mosaic Mental Health, Dr. Donna Friedman. Dr. Friedman, nice to have you with us.
Very nice to be here. Thank you so much.
So this is interesting. You sent me the material on it. Was this movie called The Sun,
Mm.
and you said there's a showing for it. So let's just talk about why this one got your attention and what your interest is in presenting it to us and to the Bronx this
Absolutely.
evening.
So one of my board members went to school with a woman who is working with the screenwriter, Florian Zeller, and brought it to my attention because it has to do with a really, really important topic, and that is adolescent suicide. And I was very, very interested in seeing how he portrayed it, and very importantly, using it as a springboard to discuss how serious and important this topic is. It's the second leading cause of death among 15 to 24-year-olds in the United States.
That is actually a remarkable statistic. I mean, it's remarkable when you think of all the evils and all the possibilities, horrible possibilities, airplanes, car accidents. I mean, I don't, and
Yeah.
various illness and what. Should I ask you what number one is, or we don't want to go
Uh, you know what? I'm not even
there?
sure.
Okay, that's fine. I was just curious. But with all
Automobile.
those other things, now, I really want to go firsthand with this. You see the threats of this and those same issues in your work at Mosaic Mental Health.
Absolutely. And one
I'm
of the
so
things
sorry to
that's
hear that.
really important to understand is that this issue, it really doesn't discriminate. Children, young people from all walks of life are are in this crisis. 20% of high school students overall have made some kind of had some kind of serious thoughts of suicide.
20%, 1 in 5.
1 in 5. And 9% have actually made an attempt. So we see this at our agency, we see this across the country, and it's just been exacerbated by COVID and the
Well, I was going to ask you why now, and I guess I'm going to presume that it's worse now than maybe it was some a few
yes,
years ago. Um, COVID, let's break it down. Obviously, the health, maybe the potential loss of a loved one, but all the other things. I think of the kids looking at screens for 2 years. That scares me, frankly.
yeah. Well, there are two things that make teenagers uniquely vulnerable, and they are that developmentally their brains, the frontal lobe, has not been fully developed, and that doesn't develop until mid 20s. And so their judgment is not quite the same. They're more impulsive than adults. And then the other thing is that socially, their world is all about their friends and how they fit in. And the pandemic just made that so much worse.
Yeah. And
Um,
and and let me just interject one step further with that, because they're coming of age, so to speak. So if you're 15 or 14, maybe a little earlier for girls, then you're starting to wonder what's that about and
right,
all the pressures that are on there and the TV and the commercials and the availability of any visual that you can think
exactly.
about, and it's all out there and you still haven't kind of figured it out. I mean, we all went through it. And so I understand exactly what you're saying. I mean,
Well,
it
and
makes total sense.
the misperception is that suicide is always due to depression, and in fact, low self-esteem is a very high indicator.
Even more than somebody who's clinically depressed.
About 50% of suicides are related directly to depression, but much of this with adolescents also has to do with low self-esteem. Um,
So let's just get back to the film, and I want to show the trailer for it so people can get an idea. So you felt that this film explains basically what we've just talked about, and or illustrates it in a way that people can understand.
so it's an example. of how parents, well-meaning parents, and these could be any parents. In this movie, it happens to be wealthy parents from New York City. The writer is actually from France. It could be a poor kid in the Bronx. It has to do with how grown-ups have a difficult time really understanding the depths of what is going on with their teenager, because by nature they tend to withhold information, they tend to isolate, they tend to be trying to grow away from the family. And
Right.
so the film really is focused on a boy who is struggling, and how the parents are trying to
I
help him, trying to understand him.
This is something that I really, we're gonna show the
Yeah,
trailer and people will be able to see that, but the notion of the family's reaction, influence is something that I know you deal with because you're not
right,
gonna solve an individual, especially a teenager's problem unless you figure out what's going on at home,
right.
and so this illustrates it. Okay, so it's The Sun. It is gonna be, let's see, Monday the 9th at 7 p.m. at Regal Union Square on Broadway and 13th Street. We'll talk more about that, but here it is, and thank, Dr. Donna Friedman and Mosaic Mental Health for pointing it out to us. The Sun.
What are you doing here?
Nicholas hasn't been to school in almost a month.
I wanted to ask, how are you? Has something happened? You realize the school is talking about expelling you.
Can I live with you? You said you don't feel very close to people your age.
Your other son, he needs you as well.
And you're at work all of the time. Has he been able to talk about the divorce?
I've tried to be there for you. I've tried to give you strength. What's going on? Are you on drugs? You think you can just live your life doing whatever you feel like?
I don't know what's happening to me.
I feel like a complete failure.
I wasn't there for him.
There used to be so much joy in our family.
You give these big speeches about life, and then you abandon us.
I have the right to reinvent my life!
Hello, son. You came to tell me what a good dad you are? What do you want? Applause?
It's my little boy. I can't give up on him.
It's the I saw the trailer previously, but, I kept a little distance from it.
Mhm.
It's a little hard for me to do this segment the rest of the way. Um, it's incredibly well done. Let's put it that way. I mean, I know that you deal with a lot of materials that come through and instructional videos and everything else, but this really, brings it home. Um, for people who are raising teenagers, and are maybe watching us now or have the opportunity, why should they see it? What do they get out of it?
There's a couple of really important things, and suicide and depression and anxiety and vulnerability are all things that young people are susceptible to, especially with um, access to the internet and the kinds of communications that are happening between teenagers. And so
Yep.
it's really to start a conversation about what do we do if we think our kid is in trouble, to listen to the professionals when they tell us that we have been doing this for a really long time, and as painful as it is to hospitalize your child or to do some of the things that we recommend, that it really is important to listen and to work with us, and very importantly that you know we need to encourage everyone to ask for help, and we need funding to be able to provide the help. So it's
Okay, that,
complicated.
I get that pitch for sure,
Yeah,
and obviously there's been a lot of talk about mental health in the news. We have many
yeah,
local stories that are we could probably have a dialogue about that as well.
exactly.
Um, I got two things that I want to respond with. Number one is just a simple word, which you deal with every day: parenting,
Mm,
and you know because the situation that's portrayed there, as we could tell, that child didn't get that way from nowhere. And if the parents were divorced, and that does happen, parenting is a big thing. So that's my
mhm,
first thing. And I know you agree because you
mhm.
deal with it every single day. So that's something else. And parents can go see it. The other thing which was fascinating to me, and I pointed it out to you, that HBO Max has a program or a movie called so-called my so-called high school rank, and that attempts to take a look at the pressures on teens from the school's point of view, where they're pressurized to try to get to college, maybe in some cases without the resources, maybe some cases without the grades, maybe in some cases without the social skills. You take that youngster and put them in a family that has other significant issues, and you have a cauldron.
Right. And I think that there are many different recipes for this unfortunate outcome that we need to pay attention to. This film just shows one, and there are many. And but the most important piece here is that we recognize that it doesn't always look to be what we think of. You don't
Right.
have always tons of acting out beforehand.
All right, Dr. Friedman, we gotta run. The Sun, right? It is play I'll give all the
Yeah.
particulars. It's playing Monday, January 9th, at 7 p.m. at Regal Union Square. You can contact Mosaic Mental Health to find out more. You can go online and find out about it. And is it going to be shown again, or this is the
So,
one showing?
no, this is a screening,
A
and
screening.
so I'm inviting people if they wanna come and they need to RSVP, to thesunmosaic@gmail, .com, and that's a screening, and on the 20th of January, it's gonna be nationally in
Great.
theaters.
Okay. We do got to run. Dr. Donna
Okay,
Friedman, thank you so much for
thank you,
everything. I'm going to take a deep breath and get over it and be able to go about my evening. And we do appreciate your presenting it
thank
to
you,
us. And we
dear.
hope people, especially parents, will get out there and understand what it's about. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care.
Okay, folks, that will do it for the Bronx Buzz. And you know what happens. We want to thank, of course, Dennis Slattery and Dr. Friedman. We'll see you next week. Good night.